Let's dive into a powerful, ancient message that honestly feels like it could have been written yesterday. It's all about a really tough question. What's the real difference between just being religious and being a genuinely good person?
Okay, just imagine hearing this shouted at you as you're walking into your place of worship. It's not a friendly greeting, right? It's a full-on confrontation. The prophet Jeremiah is calling people out, telling them that repeating this phrase like some kind of magic spell, as if the physical building is a lucky charm, is not going to save them.
To really feel the weight of this, you've got to put yourself there for a second. Picture it. It's a busy day at the temple. You've got crowds everywhere. You can probably hear chanting, and you can definitely smell the incense. This is the absolute center of their religious world. And right into the middle of all this sacred activity, a guy walks in with a message that's about to shake everything up.
God tells Jeremiah to stand right there, at the gate. Not off in some quiet corner, but right where everybody is coming and going. This isn't some polite suggestion he's making. It's a public takedown of hypocrisy, right in the place where people felt the most secure.
So why was this sermon so explosive? Well, you've got to understand what was going on at the time. We're talking the late 7th century BC. The whole nation is in a tough spot, politically, kind of stuck between these two superpowers, Egypt and Babylon. And while on the surface everyone is super religious, going to the temple, doing the rituals, underneath it all, society is just rotting with corruption.
And all of this leads to the huge problem Jeremiah was sent to fix, this lie of false security. The people were basically using religion not as a way to get closer to God, but as a shield to hide their terrible behavior from Him. And here is the total disconnect. On one hand, you have the people believing, hey, as long as I show up at the temple, I'm good. I'm safe. It was like a get-out-of-jail-free card. But God's reality? Totally different. He's saying, look, the building itself doesn't protect you. Real security comes from how you live, from your integrity, from actually changing your ways. And it gets so much worse. While they're standing at the temple gates chanting, "We are safe," look at what they were actually doing. We're talking stealing, murder, lying under oath, and taking advantage of the most vulnerable people in their community, immigrants, orphans, widows. They were literally trying to use church attendance to cover up some seriously destructive stuff.
And then comes this fiery question from God Himself. He asks, "Has my own house become a den of robbers to you?" Now, think about that for a second. What's a den of robbers? It's where criminals go to hide out after they've done their crimes. It's their safe house. They were treating God's house like a hideout for their unethical lives.
So if all the rituals and the sacrifices and the church-going weren't cutting it, what did God actually want? This next part gets right to the heart of what He was really after. God makes it crystal clear. He basically says, look, from the very beginning, the main point was never about all the burnt offerings. The number one command, the absolute foundation of our entire relationship, was simple. Just obey me. Listen to what I'm saying.
And this really nails the difference. God isn't all that interested in the offerings, the religious stuff people do without their hearts really being in it. What He values most is justice and obedience, actually caring for other people and living an ethical life. He's not impressed by the performance. He's looking for the real thing.
This lays out the whole deal. And you can see it's all about relationship, not a transaction. It starts with obedience. And from that obedience, the relationship is built. I'll be your God and you'll be my people. And then you live out that relationship by walking in His ways. The goal was always about becoming different people, not just checking boxes. And this gives us a really powerful definition of what true worship is. It's not something that just happens inside a building. It's a faith that spills out into the streets, that changes society. According to Jeremiah, if your worship doesn't change how you treat the poor, the immigrant, and the marginalized, then it's not real worship at all.
Okay, so how does this ancient showdown at a temple gate have anything to do with us today? Well, this final section is an authenticity test that is just as relevant now as it was back then.
Here is the key principle, and it's a big one. Just being near good things doesn't automatically make you good. You can work at a great company, be in a healthy family, or go to church every single week, but none of that magically transforms you. Just being close isn't enough. You have to actively pursue it. I mean, this is the classic example, right? The person who does all the right religious things on Sunday, But then for the other 6 days of the week, their character is completely unchanged. When our attendance doesn't lead to authenticity, it's really just spiritual theater.
Oof, here's another one that really cuts deep. Someone can write a big check and look super generous in public, but if they're mistreating the people who work for them day in and day out, which one do you think God cares about more? This sermon says it's the daily obedience. Integrity always wins over impressive gestures.
And here's one final, sharp example. Think about the leader who talks a big game about values and excellence, but their own actions and their own work just don't back it up. The bottom line is, you can't talk your way out of something you've behaved yourself into.
This pretty much sums up the entire sermon, doesn't it? It's simple, it's memorable, and it's true. In the end, what you do speaks so loudly that it drowns out what you say. Real authenticity is when your walk and your talk are finally in sync. So if we boil this whole thing down to one core idea, it's this: the temple gate principle. It doesn't matter if you're in the holiest place on earth. If your heart and your actions are a mess, you're still miles away from what matters. Who you are is infinitely more important than where you are.
And that leaves us with a final, really challenging question. This isn't about judging people from thousands of years ago. It's about looking in the mirror. It's a challenge for each of us to find that one area in our own lives where what we say and what we do just don't line up, and to start the hard work of bringing them together. Because that is the timeless heart of Jeremiah's message.